So now I'm going to show you what we need for our slip and zip wallet, and this is the large size. We're going to need to cut a Decaville light body support and two body panels, and you can use whatever design or pattern materials you wish, but I've chosen a design for the outside of my wallet, and that's going to be the inside. It's going to be different, and I've mixed it around, but I'll show you that as we go. But however you do it, that is entirely up to your creativity. Now for your body panel, you'll also need to punch out your holes, and if you've used a cutting machine it will have done that for you, but otherwise use the holes and be very careful to get them in the exact right spot, otherwise your snaps won't line up. The same with your Decaville pieces, and your flat pieces, they need to have their holes cut out too. If you have used a cutting machine, that will be done for you, which makes it a lot easier to get it accurate, but otherwise just make sure you line up your pattern pieces to get them accurate. Flap, we need to cut one Decaville light flap support and two flap pieces, and I've already fused the Decaville onto that, and the same with this one, it goes on the exterior body panel. So we do that. The holes are at the bottom. And the flap. Card slots B, we need 4 of them. I have mixed it up here with the design of the cork. You can use cork, vinyl, leather, any raw edge material. I recommend 0.8 millimeters. This is actually 0.9, but anything from 0.7 to 0.9 is good. This is card slot A. You can need to cut 2 of those. Welts, 4 of. Slip pocket, 1 of. Phone pocket, 2 of. The ID pocket, 1 of, and you need to cut out that centre bit like that, and a clear vinyl ID window. This is actually optional. If you don't want to make an ID window or ID pocket, you don't have to. You could even just leave that as a solid pocket and don't cut that centre bit out if you wanted to, because yeah, not everybody wants an ID pocket, so that's fine. A zipper pocket, you need to cut 1 of those and cut out that centre bit window for your zipper. Now you'll need zipper tape. This is 6 3/4 or 17 centimeters long, and I've ran some stitches along on each end to stop the pull from coming off, about 6 millimeters, 1/4 of an inch from the end. Now if you're edge coating, I like to use the dense base coat dense for my edges. It fills up the spaces and the unevenness really well. And the dense edge paint, I find it really nice coverage with that, and the protective gloss goes on top. I usually find I use 2 coats of this, 2 coats of the colour, and a coat of the protective gloss. Now for this wallet I am going to use double-sided tape to assemble most of this. I will use some glue too, and I normally use glues, the fabric tack or this one here, but for a lot of my testers have been saying they use the double-sided tape, so I thought I'd give it a go. And it's just the little narrow 3 millimeter wide one, and what I have been found in testing is that really speeds up the process and it's less messy than the glue, but I do feel that it won't hold the edges together long term in usage because it's not as strong as glue, but that becomes less of an issue if you are edge coating. So yeah, I think the combination of the double-sided tape and the edge coat, brilliant. When I'm gluing my flat pieces together and the 2 body panels, we need an all over glue. These are a bit thick to spread, so I use the Eco Weld for that. And the Eco Weld, you need it on both sides, and then you let it get tacky and then you stick it together. But yeah, any permanent fabric glue that's runny enough so that you can put it over the whole piece is what you need for that. Snaps, I'm using these metal snaps. They come in 4 pieces, that's them there. You'll need 2 snaps for your closure. I use a lighter just to singe the edges around my cork. Just seals them off and gets rid of any fuzziness. Let's get started. So if you're going to edge coat your wallet, these pieces here are easier done if you do them before you assemble your wallet. The welt pieces, you just need to edge coat those top edges. The slip pocket, edge coat the top edge. The phone pocket, the top edges. The card slots A, the top edges. The card slots B, the top edges. The ID pocket, you need to edge coat the interior part and the top curved edge. Actually, all the way around would be ideal for that because it will be on your phone pocket. So it's hard to edge coat once it's attached, so do that beforehand if you're going to. And the zipper pocket, you need to edge coat around that zipper pocket window. So that's the edge coating. So we're going to start by gluing our flap pieces together. Just getting some scrap paper here because this is my gluing paper. Otherwise I'll get it everywhere. And I need my brush. So now I'm just going to make sure that that's not stuck down. And I'll let that get tacky and then I'll put the two together. Okay, so as soon as that has gotten tacky, we just need to put these together. Line up these raw edges so that everything is nice and even. Making sure our holes are lined up. Don't press too hard. If you press it down too soon, it'll be harder to move things around. You want to make sure it's all lined up before you press it together. When you're happy that it's all lining up good, then you can press it down together. Add a weight on top. I'm going to add something heavy on top of that. Like that, and I'm going to put it away over there so it can dry while we get on with the rest of the construction. So retrieve your ID pocket and your clear vinyl ID pocket window, assuming that you are making an ID pocket. And what we need to do is we're just going to run some double-sided tape. I'm going to put it away from where I'm stitching, so I'm just going to put a bit here. Don't need much, it just needs a little bit to hold it in place while we stitch it down. And just center that over there, press it, whoops, make sure it's even, press it down, it's not wonky. There we go. So now we need to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to top stitch all the way around that pocket window. So while we're over at the sewing machine top stitching around our pocket window, then we're top stitching the top curved area of the ID pocket, and while we're there we will top stitch the curves of card slots A, the curved tops edges of card slot B on all pieces, the slip pocket, the top straight edge, the welts on all 4 pieces. We need to top stitch the top curves, and your phone pocket we need to top stitch the top curved edges on both pieces. Okay, so now I'm just going to top stitch around my ID pocket window, approximately 3mm, 1/8 of an inch from the edge. I'm just going to do a couple of back stitches to lock it in place. My stitch length is 3.1. Like that. Now I'm just going to top stitch this top curved edge as well. Like that. Now I'm going to do the tops of my card slots A pieces. Now I'm going to do all 4 of my card slot B pieces. All 4 of my welts, or the top edges. The long straight edge of my slip pocket piece, and the 2 curved top edges of my phone pocket. Okay, so now that we have top stitched all those pieces, we're just going to set them all aside. Other than your phone pocket, we need one of those, and we also need, other than your ID pocket, we'll need that and one of your phone pocket pieces. So we'll just grab that, and we'll grab our phone pocket piece pattern and also the ID pocket piece. So what we're going to do is just, this will make it easy, we just want to mark the center and draw a line down there, something that comes off. Do not use anything permanent, test on a scrap. But I'm just doing it this way because it just makes it easier to find and mark the center. And I'm just going to fold this in half. And mark the center of my ID pocket. Just at the top and the bottom will do. Like that. Now grabbing some double-sided tape, just going to run some double-sided tape around this pocket to hold it in place. Using these marks to line up, and we want it 6mm or 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom. So I'm just going to lay this on here to keep it straight for me. Lining up my center marks like that. press that down. Now we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch these 3 straight edges. Okay, so I'm going to stitch these 3 straight edges using a stitch length of 3.1 all throughout, and the seam allowance is 3 millimeters 1/8 of an inch unless I say otherwise. It is a good idea to back tack there because that's a stress point, especially if you're just using it for a regular card and you're taking it in and out a lot. So now that we have stitched around our pocket to fasten the OID pocket to our phone pocket, we need to retrieve the second one, and on the wrong side we're just going to run some double-sided tape down the 2 side edges, not on the bottom. If you are using glue, you can use glue. And put them wrong sides together, lining up the straight edges so they're nice and even. Press that to stick it down. Now we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch down both sides just to make sure that this is nice and secure. 3 millimeters 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Okay, stitching our 2 side edges, 3 millimeters 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Okay, so now that we have done our phone pocket, we can set that aside for now. Need to grab your slip pocket piece and one card slot A and 2 card slot B. I'm going to choose 2 different ones here. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to line this up along the bottom edge and clip it in place. Now, what I recommend to do here when it's a big long edge is just to add some double-sided tape onto the bottom edges of these. It'll just stop it from stretching while you sew. It'll hold it in place. Otherwise, I find the action of the foot, you end up distorting it and it ends up crooked. You can glue these down if you wish, but I find this does the job very well. So don't peel the backing off yet. What we'll do now, we're just going to slide this in. This is just to get the positioning exactly right. They want to butt up against each other but not overlap. Same on this side. Like that, and now grab your 3rd card slot piece or the 2nd card slot B, and I'm just going to slide that in. Clip it to hold like that. Now take off the bottom card slot A piece. Set that over there for the moment, and now just carefully bend that up and peel the backing off your, whoops, that came loose. I took the clip off, that's silly me. Now we're just going to peel the backing off these pieces and let them flop down. Like so. And bending this one back. Peeling that tape off. Let it flop down. Like that. And they're ready to sew. But before we head over to the sewing machine, we'll also grab our zipper pocket. And what we're going to do is the same thing here. We're going to grab our other card slot A piece and peg it on down the bottom. So now we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch both of these down there, and then we're going to remove the clips, stitch the second one down. Same here, stitch that first, remove the clips, bend it out of the way and stitch the second one down. Okay, so now I'm just going to stitch this down 3 millimeters 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Removing the clips off that first card slot, bend it back out of the way and stitch the second side, second piece. And there we have that stitched in place. Now we'll repeat that for the zipper pocket. Going to move them threads to the side because I don't want them bunching up underneath, making a nest, because of they'll be in the inside of my zipper pocket. Okay, so now that we have done that with those two, we're just going to grab one of the card slot A pieces and we're going to run some tape around those 3 straight edges. Now peeling back the tape, sorry about the neighbour mowing there if you can hear that. The joys of living with neighbours next door. Peel off the tape, backing. I'm just going to place that on the bottom, lining up the edges. You can use glue if you wish. Normally that's what I've been doing, but this time I'm trying the double-sided tape. Press that there like that, like so, and retrieving our phone pockets or our slip pocket piece, just going to fold that in half. And I'm going to measure the halfway point of this pocket. That's for stitching. We're going to stitch down that line at the sewing machine in a minute. But before we do that, we're going to get this one ready so we can do them both at the machine at the same time. So just repeat the process of adding this second card slot. So before we go to the sewing machine, we're just going to stick down these little bits at the side here as well, I normally do this before I add the card slot A, but I forgot, so I'm doing it now. Peeling this backing tape off is a pain in the bum and nearly enough to make me switch to glue. Now that one's going to be stitched down there, and this one I'm just going to use that same piece to mark the halfway line, but we're just stitching from the top of the slip pocket B, the top slip pocket B, not right all the way to the window, just like that. Starting at the bottom, I'm stitching on the line. Now I like to pivot and I like to stitch back down right exactly as close to that first stitching as I can, just to add another layer of security because they are high stress points. Like that. I don't do them apart because then the pockets get too tight. If you want to add 1 or 2 cards, it's better to have them a bit looser. So this one, not to the top of the pocket. I'm just going to stitch down right beside it, like that. Okay, so now that we have our card slots made, we can put the slip pocket card slot assembly aside. I'm just going to get rid of that thread and retrieve our zipper pocket back, flip it over, and what we're going to do is, well, actually we need to do work on this, not that. We're going to add it to the zipper, and we're going to run the double-sided tape along both top or both outer long edges. Put the zipper right side up. Maybe I'll get an expert at peeling this backing off in time, but right now I'm struggling. Like that, and then just lay that right side up like that with the opening pull on the left, like so. And we're just going to place this right side down. I'm just going to flip this over and I'm just lining that up so it looks nice and even. Press it down to secure it. Now we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to top stitch all the way around that zipper pocket window. Okay, so now I'm going to swap to a zipper foot. So now we're just going to stitch 3 millimeters, 1/8 of an inch from the opening, and I'm just going to back tack to lock those off. Now I'm just going to go back across that just to make it more secure. To move that zipper pull out of the way. Like that. Okay, so now that that's stitched, I'm just going to trim this back just a little bit more, just to keep the bulk away from the sides, back towards that stitching, but not clipping the stitching, and make sure you don't cut your pocket by mistake. Like that. Now I'm just going to grab the double-sided tape again, and I'm running it down the two short sides from the halfway mark down and then along the bottom. Like that. Now we need to peel this backing off. Okay, so now we're just going to stick these edges together, making sure we align those raw edges neatly, like that. And now we're going to go over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch the two sides. Do not stitch this bottom at this point, just the sides. Putting my regular foot back on, moving my needle back over, like that. And now I'm going to stitch these two sides. 3mm, 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Do not stitch the bottom at this point. If for some reason your foot won't get close to that, use a zipper foot. So now that we have prepared our zipper pocket, we need to retrieve our body panel. We're going to use the inner one. If you have, the exterior has the Decaville body support already applied. So we'll just set that one aside, and we're working with the one that will be on the inside. And with the holes towards you, we're going to work on the right side like that, and we're going to measure 1 centimetre down, or 3/8 of an inch down from this edge. Just make a little mark like that. And now we're just going to line up this zipper pocket. Your zipper pull is over on the left, and clip it in place. Like that. And now rotate the whole thing around 180 degrees. So the holes are now at the top, and what we need to do is the same thing, measure 1 centimetre, 3/8 of an inch. The pockets are facing towards the outer edge, not towards the inside. Yep. I'm just going to line that up and clip to hold. Like that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go over to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch these two bottom edges. We're not stitching up the side. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch the bottom of my zipper pocket in place to secure it to the body panel. Three millimeters, 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Same for the other side, the card slot slip pocket assembly. Like that. So now that we have stitched these on, we can get rid of these clips like that. So for now, just set that aside and retrieve your flap, which should by now have had sufficient time to dry. So what we're going to do is So we're going to go over to the sewing machine and top stitch all the way around our flap. Okay, so now I'm just going to top stitch 3 millimeters, 1/8 of an inch from the edge all the way around the flap. Okay, so now that we have top stitched our flap, we need to retrieve our body panel, the second one, the one without the pockets attached, and it has the deckerville attached. It's the outer flap. Now with the holes closest to you, we need to draw a line across the top 1/2 inch down from the top, or 1.2 centimeters. Like that. Now you can either add double-sided tape or glue to this area. I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. This is to hold the flap down onto here. Obviously you can use glue if you prefer. Okay, so now that we have put our tape in place, we're just going to remove that. Like that. Retrieve your flap. Now if you have a different flap side, it's the inner flap that needs to be facing you now. So we're just going to line that up on the edge and making sure our outer edges, raw edges, are even. I'll just press that down like that. So now we need to draw a line across this flap 1/2 inch up, so we know where to apply glue. And now we're going to do some gluing. Just need my paper. And if you're using, well, this needs to be your all over glue, so if you're using one that needs to have both sides glued, then you'll need to apply glue to both sides. So I'm going to be using my Welts for this. It's messy quickly. Okay, so now that I've applied my glue, I'm just going to let it get tacky before I put the two pieces together. Okay, so now that that is tacky, I'm going to line this up onto this. The card slot slip pocket assembly goes down the bottom end, so you've got your two holes there that have got to line up. Just take your time to make sure everything is lined up, the edges as neat as you can get them. And when you're happy with how that's aligned up or lined up, we just need to add some weights so that we need it to stay firmly down. I'm actually just going to give this a really good press here in the middle. And just going to lift up that, put that the ruler in there as far as it'll go. Just going to add a weight. Like that. Need something to weigh that down. If I had a weight that would fit in there, I would put it there. And I'm going to leave that to dry. Not that that's much of a weight. Like that. And now I'll get this off my paper. Move that. So now that we've removed those weights, now we need to do some top stitching. So up this end we're going to top stitch along this flap, make sure everything's out of the way, and top stitch 3 millimeters 1/8 of an inch from the edge, and again at 6 millimeters 1/4 of an inch from the edge. And at the other end of the body over here, I'll get rid of this paper, we need to stitch 3 millimeters 1/8 of an inch from the edge. So we'll head over to the sewing machine and do that now. Okay, so now we're stitching the top end of our body panel assembly. Just make sure these things are all out of the way, and we're stitching 3 millimeters 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Now I'm stitching again at 6 millimeters 1/4 of an inch from the edge. Like that. And now at the other end we're going to stitch just the 3 millimeters 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Like that. So now I'm going to install, I'll start with this one here, up this end of the body. These are the male pieces, and I'll put that one on there, and this one goes on the top. It doesn't stay on there, that's handy. Okay, so we want this bit to be on the outside. Since that's not staying up there, because these are different snaps to what I originally had for this press. Like that. And for the second one, like that. So that's there. Now we're going to put the button one into this side. Need to change these. Add this piece onto here. And the button goes on the bottom, and since the button goes on that side, so I always double check this, because it's really not fun if you put it back to front, and I've done it before. So that will snap there. Looking good. Other one. Let me take this off. And there we have our snaps. Like that. Okay, so now we've installed our snaps. Woohoo! Starting to look like a wallet. Now what we need to do is grab double-sided tape or glue, and what we're going to do is run some glue down the back of the zipper pocket, or double-sided tape like I am. Like that. And now we'll just peel this backing off. Oops. and stick our zipper pocket down like that. And now we're going to do the same with the back of our slip pocket assembly. That and stick that down. Can use glue if you wish. So now we have that. We need to retrieve our welts, and we're going to place them right side down with the two up here with the curved edge at the top of the zipper pocket like that, and the other two are going to lay opposite with the curved edge down this end near the slip pocket card slots assembly. And now we've done that, we just retrieve our double-sided tape, and what we're going to do is we're going to run some double-sided tape along the right hand side of the left hand welt near the zipper pocket, and the left hand side of the right hand welt. And same with these two. So now we need to take the backing off the double-sided tape. I'm going to place this wrong side down so that it's just below, the welt is just below the 3mm 1/8 of an inch stitching line at the top here, and this runs all the way down to the bottom of your zipper pocket. You can line that corner up with the bottom of your zipper pocket. There we go. Press that in place. Raw edges even. Same on this side. Place it wrong side down, the bottom, right there, and this is below your 3mm 1/8 inch stitching line or close to it. Stick that down like that, and now we will repeat on the other ends here. This time with the curve facing towards you, starting just below that 3mm 1/8 of an inch mark, and this one extends a little bit below our card slots, and that's okay, that's how it's meant to be, because the zipper pocket's just that little bit bigger. And do the same on this side. Press that securely to hold, like that. And now we're going to go over to the sewing machine, and we're going to top stitch from the flap where we finished off before all the way down to the other end. So we're top stitching those two sides to attach those welts. Okay, so now we're going to top stitch the sides of our body panels to fasten those welts in place. We're going to do it with the body panel facing upwards and the pockets are down, and we're stitching 3mm 1/8 of an inch from the edge. It helps to have your zipper about halfway open, and just squish those side edges down, and if there's anything extra we can trim that off afterwards. Like that. And now we shall do the other side. Okay, so now that we have stitched that, we need to grab our double-sided tape, and we're going to run it down on the left side of the phone pocket on the back. So it's going to get attached there like that. like so. And now we're just going to remove it and put it on there. Now we're going to place this so that it's down the bottom of the welt. Line up those edges and stick it down. And now this time we're going to run some double-sided tape along the front of the phone pocket and the other welt, so we catch that last little bit there. Like that. Like so. Now we're just going to pull this welt around and stick it down. Meet the top edges there, line up the raw edges and press to secure. And now we're going to go over to the sewing machine, and with that pulled out to the side, we're going to stitch down the side of the welt. So now with the welt pulled out to the side like that, to make it easy, we're going to top stitch 3mm 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Like that. Okay, so now we need to repeat the process for this. Press to stick that down. And now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to pull this outwards, and at the sewing machine we're going to stitch down the side there, 3mm 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Okay, so for this last seam I've switched to a zipper foot just because I find it a bit easier, and I'm just going to pull that out, squish things about so I can get this in here. And stitching 3mm 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Like that. So now that we have stitched those two side welts, we need to position them in the center and just squish everything down. We want to crease those welts so that they want to stay in this position with the pocket centered into the middle. We don't want it poking out either end, so if we just kind of crease it down under there, those welts, you can open it up and crease with your fingers. You just want to squish them so that they want to lay naturally in the middle here. So it just sort of sits naturally into the center. Like that. And woohoo! There we have it. We have a nice zipper pocket here. We have a slip pocket behind there. We have 6 card slots there. We have a phone pocket here. So you can pop your phone in like that. Then we have an ID pocket there, and 6 more card slots over here, and another slip pocket there. Woohoo! There we have it. One snazzy looking wallet, don't you think? Nice big large wallet if you like the large wallets. This is very nice and chunky and holds a lot of things. Plenty of spaces in here for you to stash your cash. Woohoo! There we have it. We're done.